Welcome to Where All Things Are Possible. I am your host, Kate Butler, and I am so excited that you are joining us today. There have been so many exciting things going on inside of Kate Butler Books, which is, of course, our publishing company where we meet you where you are in your story and give you the opportunity to write your story from your heart and share your meaningful message with the world. We have just had the absolute privilege of releasing a new book out into the world called Dear Younger Self. This book not only hit the bestseller list, not only went #1 in over 9 categories. I need to go home and count because they keep on coming, but we also hit #1 international in 4 different countries that we are aware of. I am so proud of this book, and today I am also so happy that I get to introduce to you one of the incredible authors of this book, Amber Whitt. Amber Whitt is a devoted wife, loving mom, and owns multiple businesses as the creator and CEO. She has received several awards over the years for her excellence in business development, communication, marketing, strategizing, and sales. She's all of these things. Wait until you meet her. Amber left the corporate world and started her residential cleaning company from the ground up in 2010, and it has grown exponentially. Amber not only helps her clients remove old energies and clear spaces from their homes, but also personally and physically through her energy and sound healing practice, along with her hosting retreats and her mentorship. She helps and serves all of her clients. Amber is a breast cancer survivor, and she is sharing her inspiring story of being diagnosed at a young age. I'm not going to give too much away, but also how she sits in front of you today. This is what she is here to walk us through, talk to us about, and share with us. Amber, welcome to our show.
Hi, Kate. Good
Hi.
morning. Thank you so much for having me on. I so appreciate you, and I appreciate all of your time, your space, your energy that you're providing for us today. So thank you so much. I am so excited.
Oh, I am so excited as well, Amber. You know, you talk about energy, and we read a little bit about it in your fantastic bio, but you just showing up, like, I can feel your energy and I can sense it and I want to be around it, right? Which tells me that you have this really beautiful and clean energy that you surround yourself with and that you put out to the world. And so when I hear you talk about energy, you know, tell me a little bit about what this means to you.
Sure. Energy work is something that I've done pretty much my whole life. I just never really realized that's what I was doing. Energy work for me, being able to help others, really, it's a way for others to feel better. It's a way for people to distress, move through traumas, remove blocks. People get stuck. They need some help and some guidance. And so energy work is amazing. Everybody can use energy work. Everybody is, it's available to everyone. There's nobody that can't benefit from it. And so really using the energy work to help and guide others to better their lives, to kind of help change mindsets, really work through things. It's an amazing practice, along with, I do a lot of sound healing along with that, and, chakra clearing. So all in that practice, it's all about helping others feel better, feeling their best, and living a great life.
Incredible. Okay. And so I love that you open up this space for people to be able to come in and learn and heal from you in this way, really is what you're providing, which is absolutely beautiful. Amber, so you and I met, right, because you had a story that was on your heart that you wanted to share. So I would love for you to tell us a little bit about, what first of all inspired you to have that first phone call with me, and really kind of start before it started, if you will. I would love for people to understand a little bit about who you are and how you and I got to be on this beautiful journey together.
Sure, absolutely. So I happened to be at a metaphysical event and I met a woman who was offering energy work. And of course, I wanted to, sit down with her, and we were doing some heart-centered energy work, and a lot of things were coming up in regards to things from my past. And as I started kind of filling her in on bits and pieces, one of them being my breast cancer diagnosis at a younger age, and I had just had a baby, and she was very, kind of just very interested in it. And she had done a book with you, and she said, if it's ever been on your heart to share your story, which it had been, she recommended that I, get in touch with you, and I've never, I've always wanted to write. I just never knew how, like, to get the story out there, right? I just thought that was out of my league. So it had been something that I was very interested in, and so I kind of sat on it for, about a week, and then I reached out to you, and we spoke, and the goal with sharing that story was really just to help others, right? So I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 32. I had a new baby at home. Mackenzie was born May of 2012. Sadly, later that year, my mother-in-law, she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and she passed away in September of that year. My diagnosis came about 5 weeks after we had lost her. Mackenzie was not even 5 months old at the time. We were in our third year of marriage. I mean, there was a lot of things that were shifting and changing, and it was a scary time to say the least. But from the time of my diagnosis and all throughout what happened, in regards to my surgeries and the treatments, and I was very transparent. I was very honest. I shared my journey through Facebook at the time, through my social media, because that was a way for me to let people know. Because at that time, nobody our age, like in our 30s, had been diagnosed with cancer. So this was a big kind of shock to everybody, in our community, obviously me, our family. And so when it happened, it's like cancer doesn't care who you are. They don't care what age you are. I'm cancer. So it doesn't care, where you're at in life. If you just had a new baby, it doesn't care. So that was something that I wanted to get out into the world, as far as, becoming more of an advocate of, doing self exams and making sure you get your mammograms. But also a big part of that was sharing my mindset and kind of the way that I was, and as a family, how we were getting through things. And a huge part of that also was the amazing, just tremendous amount of support that we got from all over. I mean, even people that we didn't know were reaching out because they knew a friend who knew somebody who knew somebody that had been through it all. And, they were reaching out, and, people were making me hats and scarves. And, I lost all my hair. I mean, it was one of those things. Mackenzie sat in my lap. I think it was after my second chemo. My hair had been falling out, and she sat in my lap, and we kind of made it a party. My parents came over. James shaved my head, and we celebrated. It was one of those things where we just tried to make the best of what we could given the circumstances. But there were really a lot of really hard decisions that came with that diagnosis. What that was going to look like for our family moving forward. Not being able to have any more children. I mean, that was a quite a shock. But anyway, so long story short, that is really, like, that story had been on my heart for a lot of years, of how to get it out, to share with others, and to offer support. Because I became a huge support for others that were going through a similar situation, or they had a family member who was going through it. And I just was able to, being on that side of it, somebody that had gone through it, just kind of give help and guidance as far as how to support their friends or families, or how to support the person going through it. A lot of people reached out. What should I expect after chemo? What should I expect after this? And so, being able to help guide others and just offer unconditional love. Just like I just want to wrap everybody in a big hug and just squeeze on them and know that they are loved and that they are supported.
Wow, Amber, I'm sitting here listening to your story, and you do reference, that, there were difficult decisions to make, and that, you're describing this journey to us, but also, I'm feel like it also seems that you make it look easy almost, right? Like, and I'm like thinking to myself, how you have 5 weeks after a tremendous loss in your family, a new baby, a new marriage, and this diagnosis. Like, how in the world do you get to a place where you like are making, losing your hair a celebration? Like, how do you get to a place where, you are able to have this mentality, this attitude, this, to make these choices and make the right ones and have these conversations? I want to know a little bit more about Amber and about really kind of what you were telling yourself during this time and how you were able to approach this in the way that you have just described to us, which is beautiful.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, we all have a choice when it comes to how we decide to deal with things, and it comes down to our mindset. And every day we have a choice. We can sit and feel sorry for ourselves, and wonder why did I get this diagnosis? What did I do wrong? And believe me, I did have some of those thoughts, and there were things that of course came along that I had to really like sit on for a little bit. But at the end of, I don't want to say the end of the day because that's not what I mean, but like at the end of, like, you start to have some of these thoughts and feelings come up, and then I had to remind myself that I do have a new baby at home. I had just started a small business. I left the corporate world. So I had that to think about, my husband. I mean, so I just knew that I had a lot of life left to live, and I was bound and determined that even while going through all of this, that I was going to stay as positive as I could. And that doesn't mean that every day I woke up, feeling like superwoman by any means, because going through chemo, it is hard on you. Going through radiation, it is hard on you, but you can either, there's a lot of different ways that you can deal with that. And my go-to was just trying to keep as much of a positive mindset as I possibly could. That was one of the big things that my oncologist spoke with me about at the beginning too, was, being in charge of my own mindset. And there were a lot of people, a lot of people that were in total disbelief of how I was living my life during all of that. I had so many messages and friends and even just random strangers. I'm bald, I'm out and about, and they're like, uh, are you okay? And so I would just tell people, I'm going through, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and people just kept saying, you're so young, and oh my gosh, I was 32. That is young, right? But there's just, so many people said, I can't believe you're not just like sitting at home and like trying to rest and relax. And I was like, why would I do that? If I'm still able to be out, and if I'm still able, right? I'm able, like I'm physically able to still live my life. Now, I had to take downtime. I had to. After chemo, there was no way about it. But I still worked. Like, we set chemo up on Thursdays. James went with me to every chemo. My amazing husband, my biggest supporter. We scheduled it on Thursday, so that way I would have Friday, Saturday, Sunday recover, and I would work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. When I started radiation, I went and had radiation done in the morning. I went and worked that day. But, it does take a toll on your body. So, of course, I rested more. But, to have a mindset of, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to be okay. I have to be okay. I have a new baby. She depends on me. I'm her mom. And I also know that, not everybody is fortunate to make it through this. I know this firsthand friends, family, a lot of people that we've lost along the way. And I have to give gratitude every single day for the blessing of me still being here. I get to watch my daughter grow up. I get to spend time with her. I get to give her unconditional love. Not everybody is given that opportunity. So I have to relish in the fact that I'm still here and I get to be here.
Wow, I am so inspired right now by this story, and we are just scratching the surface. We do need to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because we have way more to uncover here with our incredible guest today, Amber Whitt. We will see you back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Bob Hochgertle from Kings Road Brewing Company. I'm here to tell you about a brand new show on RVN television called Cooking with the King. Each week, we're going to taste and sample some of the best beers the Kings Road Brewing Company has to offer. And we're going to talk to area chefs and restaurant owners as we pair our beer with their signature dishes. We're going to teach you how to cook and eat like a king. Cheers.
A stroke can be easy to detect. A loved one can't speak, perhaps they can't move. But there's another sign of a stroke that many of us can't see. It's called spatial neglect, and it can occur during or after a stroke, causing distorted visual movements. Fortunately, there's a solution by using optical prism technology during rehabilitation. If you or a loved one have experienced a stroke, ask your doctor about spatial neglect. Spatial neglect. See the whole picture at KesslerFoundation.org.
Are you burned out, disenfranchised, disengaged, extremely distracted? Do you feel that you're lost in semantics, over-leveraged, overwhelmed? My name is Lisa Fratelli, and I have a show on RVN TV, always streaming. The name of the show is The Neuroscience of Wealth and Well-Being. The intention of this show is to explain how you can get back to homeostasis, flow states, creativity. It's highly correlated with happiness and well-being. So you can get out of overwhelm, get out of burnout, not feel distracted, and get back to your life. You will hear from experts who will get you back on track so you can enjoy your life again. RVN TV, we're always streaming.
Are you part of the Great Resignation? Are you a business owner that would like to diversify your business holdings? Have you always had an entrepreneurial itch but did not have a concept to get you started? Milestone Franchising represents over 500 franchise concepts across 30 industries. Concepts range from $20,000 to $6 million, and they can be home-based, office-based, mobile, or brick and mortar. We guide you through the process to select which concept is best for you based upon your core competencies, your interests, and your financials. Milestone Franchising is part of the International Franchise Professionals Group, IFPG, and will bring a host of resources to assist you in your quest for business ownership. When you work with a certified franchise consultant, you gain access to a professional process that helps you succeed in your search for the right placement. Finding the best placement for you within the franchising world of 4,000 concepts is the objective. Matching your skills and goals with a culture that fits you best is the priority. For a free consultation, visit our website at milestonefranchising.com. Milestone Franchising is here to lead you in a new direction.
Hi, I'm Bob Hochgertle from Kings Road Brewing Company. I'm here to tell you about a brand new show on RVN television called Cooking with the King. Each week, we're going to taste and sample some of the best beers the Kings Road Brewing Company has to offer. And we're going to talk to area chefs and restaurant owners as we pair our beer with their signature dishes. We're going to teach you how to cook and eat like a king. Cheers.
Aloha! Joe Silva here with Kukua Technologies. I'm excited to see you on Tuesdays on Morning Coffee for our tech tips.
it. Lawyers get a bad rap. I'm Erin Brucey, host of Legal Breakdown, where we dissect legal topics for the everyday viewer, with a mix of interesting guests to talk about current events and hot legal topics. Let's work together to make the law accessible and relevant to everyone. Catch us every week on RVN Television.
Welcome back to Where All Things Are Possible. I am here with Amber Whitt, who is a #1 international best-selling author of the book Dear Younger Self, which can be found on Amazon.com under Dear Younger Self, Amber Whitt. And Amber, who I have here today, I want to share a little bit more about her. Amber not only is a breast cancer survivor, as we have been talking about, but her work really is in supporting others in many ways. She does this through distance Reiki. She does this through sound healing and chakra cleansing. She does this through guided meditations and coaching sessions. And she believes wellness begins with oneself, and has done a tremendous amount of inner work to help heal herself and help guide others on their journey inwards to self-discovery and awareness. Here are some beautiful, beautiful images of Amber showing up in her work in the world. You know, the beauty of what Amber does is that this can be done from all over the world, right? She has set up a practice where she can literally serve people all over the planet through her energy work, her coaching, and her healing modalities. So welcome back, Amber. I am so excited to dive into more of your story. So you left us off wildly inspired over here based on what you were approaching in life and then how you showed up in that experience in your life. Something that you said was that, yes, it was on my heart and you felt like I do want to get this out into the world. And so one of my questions to you is why? Why did it feel important for you to get this story out into the world?
Sure. Well, it's a really uncomfortable topic that a lot of people, don't enjoy talking about. So to share a story like that, really because of so many things that were going on, it wasn't just the breast cancer diagnosis, we were dealing with, Mackenzie was in a helmet, she had torticollis and she ended up being in a helmet for 6 months, and in physical therapy while this was going on. Again, with the small business that we had created that was just beginning. It really, like, for me to share the story to the entire world, for me, it was a bit of a healing process for my own self to really reflect back. Ironically, how it all lined up. When we spoke for the first time, it was, and I didn't even realize this at the time, but it was about a month before I was going to hit my 10 years of being cancer free. So throughout this process, we've celebrated 10 years of me being cancer free, and it was almost like divine timing for this story to go out into the world for people to read about, but also to remind people to advocate for themselves. When we went through what we went through, I really regret not advocating for myself more with the group of doctors that we had advised about the lump. They told me it was probably just a clogged milk duct, and it wasn't. So that part of it was something that I feel like a lot of people need to know, that you can advocate for yourself, no matter what situation you're in, whether you're a pregnancy or whatever's going on in your life with your health, but really to put it out there and for people to read it and to just know that there is hope. Cancer is not always a death sentence, right? When people hear of a cancer diagnosis, the first thing they think is, oh my gosh, I know all of these people that have died. And that's true. Of course, we all know people that have passed because of, their cancer diagnosis, and they unfortunately didn't make it. I am lucky and I am blessed and I am grateful that I did make it through. And so to offer that out to people, that are in any kind of a tough situation in life, to read it and be like, okay, she was dealt some really wild and crazy, hard and challenging things, and she made it through. And you know what? Maybe it helps somebody else just get unstuck or get out of a mindset of there is no hope, right? Like, I just wanted to be able to share it, to let people know, and to let people know that it's okay to not be okay, right? You can reach out for help or support. You don't have to do this alone. And for me, that was tremendous, and for me to be able to offer support and hope to people is huge for me.
Absolutely. And I just want to make sure we don't miss what you just said there, because I think it's a really pivotal piece of your story, which is that you actually identified something, went to your doctor, and they actually instructed you that it was nothing of concern. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. It was about 4 months into my pregnancy, and I'd never been pregnant before, right? So first pregnancy, and when you go in and meet with the doctor and that your body's doing some weird things, right? And so you're telling them, kind of listing off like, well, this has changed or this is different. And we had found it was in my right breast. So we found a small, at the time, it felt almost like a really small, I would say like a pea, like a little, little like hard, just little tiny bump that you could feel, and you could almost roll it in between your fingers. And so the doctors that we advised, that we trusted, of course, they certainly said it was not a big deal. And, they asked if I was going to breastfeed, and I said, well, yes, hopefully yes, assuming she can latch, and, all of the things. So, and they said it was probably a clogged milk duct. And really, after I breastfed her and I was done, it would go away. That is what they said. Unfortunately, that is not what happened. It continued to grow while I was pregnant. And it was actually when I went in for my annual after having Mackenzie, and the doctor that delivered her is the one that, we got to the breast portion, and she was the one that was very alarmed. And she was the one that really pushed for me to go have a mammogram and an ultrasound done. And at that time, I was still thinking, okay, I'll go, to put her mind at ease.
Right.
I was still thinking this wasn't that big of a deal. And then, of course, everything shifted pretty drastically when I went for that mammogram and ultrasound, because that doctor was not so kind. He was actually very alarmed and pretty stern with me, and asked me why I had waited. Why did you wait? Why would you have waited?
Wow.
You trust your doctors and you believe in what they say. And so I believed that it was no big deal until I heard that it was a big deal.
I think this is such an important part of your story, because this is really, like, I look at you and I just think and believe and see such a warrior sitting in front of me. And I think this is a big piece of that story, right? Because this experience that you went through, you already were very strong, and you've always been a go-getter, and, I'm sure that you've always been, self-advocating, but this experience really took it to a whole other level. And now you not only feel responsible for advocating for yourself, but what your business tells me and what your story tells me and why you're sitting in front of me and why it felt important for you to share this story and put this out and share with as many people as possible is because now you feel a responsibility to also advocate for others, right? And to help others heal, to help others on their journey, to help others progress in whatever way is for the highest and best for them, right? And I think that is just so beautiful. So tell me what's next in the work of Amber. How do we work with you? What value can we get from your work, and how do we get into your world?
Sure, absolutely. So, there's a lot of different ways that you can get into my world. I'm all over social media. I do have a website. It's literally my name, so it's www.amberwhitt.com, and Whitt has an H, so it's WHITT. But there's so many different things that are going on in my world as far as different practices that we're doing. The energy practice, the sound healing, that is huge. My mentor and I have gotten into offering retreats, so that is something that we are diving headfirst into. That is a new business practice. I love speaking at events. I love traveling all around to share my story, not just about breast cancer, but about a lot of other different things. So, there's a lot going on, especially with this book being released, which I loved every minute of it. From a young age, I wanted to write, and it happened. That dream came true. All, meeting you, and the stars aligned, and it worked perfectly, and it was just absolutely beautiful. So there's a lot going on, but I love meeting people. I love helping people. I love speaking with people. I love interacting with people, and I love energy work. I can do it from anywhere. In fact, I just did a session on one of my co-authors the other night. She's in Colorado. I'm here. I did the full session and got done, and she was just like, oh my gosh, I can breathe, I can move, oh my gosh. So it doesn't have to be in person, and that's the beautiful thing about it is this can be done from anywhere.
Oh my goodness, Amber, thank you so very much for being here, for being you, for being vulnerable, for sharing your story, for being so open with us so that we can learn from you, so that we can be inspired by your journey. It really is such a tremendous leap to be able to open up your heart and allow us to come in. And you have just done this so beautifully. I admire you for how you show up in the world, and I really applaud you for how you have chosen to go about sharing your story with the intention of helping and healing others. We want to go to Amazon.com and check Amber's book out. It's called Dear Younger Self, Amber Whitt. You want to put in Dear Younger Self and Amber Whitt, who is the author of this book, so you can read her story along with other complementing stories of this book, Dear Younger Self, what she would tell her younger self now that she is at this stage of the game. And we can all learn from what Amber is going to whisper in the ear of her younger self. So you don't want to miss that book. We also want to be sure to check out Amber at amberwhitt.com. Her name is right on the screen so you can see how to spell her name. And I cannot wait to continuously check out your website to see what types of events you have coming up, what you are up to now, what types of retreats are in the queue, how I can be anywhere in the world and learn from you, coach with you, receive energy healing from you. What I do know is that you are going to have a lot to offer, and I do know that this is only the beginning of what we are going to see from Amber Whitt, #1 international best-selling author. It has been my absolute honor to have you on the show today, Amber.
Oh my gosh, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for this experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amber, and thank you all of you for joining us on this episode of Where All Things Are Possible. I hope you feel as inspired as I do after spending time with the absolutely beautiful Amber Whitt, who has so generously offered up her energy and her story to us today. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next time on Where All Things Are Possible.